Hi guys, today I'm going to make a tutorial of how to do camo nails as a shout out to my military wives and significant others like myself. So I have this little piece right here that I'm going to use like so. And then right here I have my palette, so I'm going to put my colors on here and sponge off of this, and if I need to mix any, I have a toothpick. I have the nice tan cream, which I'm wearing right now. It's China Glaze Kalari Kiss. I have Zoya Bevan, which is like really perfect sage green. And then I don't have a darker green like is in the picture, but I do have OPI Stranger Tides, and I'm feeling like that mixed with a little black will make a good army green. I actually started out here just to see, and I did this a while ago, and it made a pretty good color that we're looking for. So I'm going to do that again. We'll go ahead and start with Bevan, because that's kind of our sagey green that we have in that picture. Just do a little dot, and try to just cover part of the sponge, and as you can see, you can kind of dab it over here to get not so much on there, and then just tap on your nail, your very dry nail by the way, in different places to kind of spread it out. You want all the colors to be showing through, so don't cover your nail completely. See, here's a close-up of the two I just started on. So just keep going until you get all your nails. Don't worry about how perfect this looks right now. It's camo. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you get a giant splotch on your nail and you're like, oh my god, that was way too much color, don't worry about it, because we're just going to add another layer of a different color after this, and it'll cover it up just fine. So I have my sage green. Now I'm going to mix a darker green. Just kind of go with your gut if you don't have the right colors, because creams are kind of the best for this. So I'm doing one of OPI Stranger Tides, one of Bevan. I don't want it to look exactly like the color we already have. And when you're mixing colors, make sure you always have a black and a white on hand. I just have a really cheap unlabeled Funky Fingers black. And less is more. It takes so little to make it like that. I just put a tiny little daub, and that's honestly too much. So I'm going to wipe off the daub so that it's just barely there. Because you can start to see the black really kind of take over. You can always add more color, but it's so much easier to just do it right the first time. That looks cool. And I want it a tiny bit darker. I mean, you're doing this for you, so make it however you like it. Just be careful not to add too much black, because then it starts looking sludgy, like baby poop color. Nobody likes that. So I'm going to sponge a little bit here, and you can see the color difference when I start to sponge, how it's much darker. You can really tell. So I like to do kind of more than one nail at once, because it's so wet when you first start. See, there's like a big dark daub, so then I'll go back to another nail. So there's kind of the wettest one at first, and then you go back as your sponge is sort of drying out and fill in some of the other places, because there's less nail polish on your sponge at that moment. But if you mess up, it's really no big deal, because you can just go back with another color. Yeah, so my nails are looking a little dark. I have a Sally Hansen white on. It's my general white. Honestly, it's mediocre. I haven't found a perfect white yet. Either clean off your toothpick or just use the other end. I don't like to get a whole new one. Just wasteful. Yeah, it's definitely less potent, so I'm going to put a bigger drop in there. Remember, you can always add more, but you can't take any away. I'm liking this color. So remember, dab some off a little. You don't want too much, but I kind of overdid it on my Kalari Kiss there. I'm going back for some dark too. It's still a little bit wet. And you're going to get it all over your cuticles, but that's no big deal. I'd much rather have that than have that really annoying look where the edge of your nails are not covered in the nail art, so it just has like this line on the edge. It looks really dumb. Okay, I think I'm happy with this for the army. So I've got a different palette for that. This is just the back of a stamping plate. They just make a really good palette. They're so easy to clean off. And I actually do have a lot more blues, even though I keep saying that blue is one of my least favorite colors. So I won't have to do any mixing here unless I just really want to. The blue that I've started with is Color Club Sheer Disguise. It's just a nice light, kind of dusty blue. And I've got a gray, Zoya Carey, a nice true blue, China Glaze First Mate, and Zoya Natty, a dusty, medium, kind of deep blue. It's really, honestly, the perfect navy blue. And then I look in there and there's a really, really dark color, almost black, so I found myself a really, really, really dark blue. And it's Borghese, I've never even read this, Mezzanotte Blue. Check that out. I don't even know how to say that, but it sounds cool. So let's see. I started with such a light base. Let's kind of hit it somewhere in between. Let's start with our first mate. I haven't really found that it works better starting with a light to dark, dark to light, you know, in the middle. So I just kind of go for however I want. And yeah, my sponge is already dry, so I'm just using the same one. So I don't have to worry about any green getting in on my awesome navy camo art. See, I really wiped my sponge off on this one and I'm getting a lot better effect. Rather than little rectangles when you cover the absolute entire end, I'm getting a nicer shape. So make sure you dab it off, or like I said before, when it's really wet you can kind of do more than one nail at once and go back and forth between the nails so that you spread out that really dense color and that really light color. This is my Zoya Carey. Dab, dab, dab. Yeah, you can tell it's a little different. This is a straight up gray, whereas the one before was like a grayed out blue, and it's really toning down this first mate I have here. So it's kind of smoothing everything out together, melding it all together. Yeah, this manicure is looking too light, don't you think? So I'm going to go back. Since I don't want to end up with too much of this super, super dark one, I'm going to do that now. There's not a whole lot in the actual picture if you look. So I'm going to try and dab it off really well because I don't want a whole lot on any one nail. This tutorial was actually requested by some friends on Twitter that I have who are military wives and girlfriends. They're like, oh my god, how'd you do those camo nails? I'm like, oh my god, it's so easy, let me show you. I've been dying to use this Natty because it's the perfect navy blue, so I'm going to go for this one next. It looks great. Just go for it. So back to Carey, kind of lighten things up a bit. There we go. I'm going to do this really dark Borghese again, and it just wasn't dark enough for me because it almost looked like Natty. When it sponged out, it must be darker in a thicker layer. So I'm going to add a tiny bit of black to it. Any day now before it dries out. Remember, just a little bit. Black is really potent, and look how dark this is already. Just mix, mix, mix. It already looks like black, honestly, on the palette, so I really can't tell if it's mixed at all. But hey, it's camo, it doesn't matter. Let's go for it. See how it looks. It's really dark, we don't want to overwhelm it, so dab it out. There we go. That looks great. And hit those spots that are just too light for you, you know. Mix it up. I'm lightening up this carry a little bit. I just feel like I want a lighter touch to this manicure. You know what? I haven't used my base yet, again. So I'm going to pop some of that in there too, and that should lighten it up. I don't know, that's not light enough for me. Let me do a little more white. I keep forgetting that white's not as potent as the black is, so you don't have to be as careful. But remember the rule, it's always easier to add more. There we go. That's a really, really nice light gray. Perfect. I'm going to dab this off because it looks a little dark. There we go. Just kind of lightening some of this up. I think once you dry your sponge out, you're kind of removing some of the polish. So just practice with the different effects and see what they look like for you. I think I'm good on the navy manicure. What do you ladies think? Let's see if we can do a close-up. Fabulous. Yeah, it looks a little messy now, but just wait till that top coat. It evens everything out on the surface so you don't have that actual spongy texture, because that would be really annoying to some people. A more refined camo once you top coat it. I'm using way too much top coat, but you kind of get the idea. See, here it is next to one that isn't top coated. There we go. There's Army hand. All done. Go Army. So here we go. Go Army, go Navy, and a shout out to all our soldiers, sailors, and all our military people out there, and the people who love them too.